We're talking about 800 horsepower and 1,250 newton meters from one e-motor.
No one expected Koenigsegg to rewrite the rules, not like this, not in 2025, when Tesla had practically become a symbol of the future. But without warning, in total silence, the Swedish automaker detonated a technological shockwave so intense it left the entire industry in disbelief, and Elon Musk visibly stunned on live television. There was no flashy keynote, no teaser campaign, just an unapologetic act of brilliance. Koenigsegg had created something unthinkable. A hybrid monster with 2,300 horsepower, powered in part by an electric motor small enough to fit in a backpack. It ran on a synthetic fuel so clean it made gasoline look like a relic of the industrial age. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement, and one that felt like a gut punch to the world's electric dreams. Was this the death of the EV era as we knew it? Or had it just been reborn, meaner and smarter than before? Whatever the answer, one thing was undeniable. The future of cars had just changed forever, and nobody, not Musk, not Detroit, not the world, saw it coming. It's strange to think how certain we all were. Electric vehicles were supposed to be the answer, the savior of the climate, the destroyer of gas engines. For a while, it felt like we were heading toward that promised future. Tesla wasn't just building cars, it was launching a movement. The original Roadster wasn't a machine, it was a dare. A sleek, silent rebellion against everything we thought we knew about performance. With each new model, Tesla pushed further. The Model S made sedans sexy. The Model 3 turned EVs into a middle-class reality. The Model X added wings. And the Cybertruck? That thing was a meme and a miracle wrapped in steel. Elon Musk became the face of disruption, breaking conventions, making wild promises, and somehow delivering just enough to keep the world watching. Governments raced to catch up. The European Union set an expiration date for internal combustion. California mapped out its electric future. China turned EV subsidies into a weapon of global dominance. Cities banned diesel. Legacy automakers scrambled to pivot. Suddenly, every glossy investor pitch and auto show booth was filled with dreams of an all-electric tomorrow. But beneath the surface, the revolution was stalling. People didn't want to admit it, but the cracks were hard to ignore. EVs were getting heavier, not lighter. They were packed with rare earth materials sourced in questionable ways. The driving experience? It started to feel sterile, like swiping on a screen instead of gripping a wheel. Cold weather killed range. Long trips became logistical puzzles. Charging networks were growing, but not fast enough. And when you did find a station, it often meant waiting, not driving. What began as a movement started to feel more like a compromise. Faster, cleaner, simpler, not always. Somewhere along the road, the EV dream had become complicated. And that's where Koenigsegg stepped in, not to join the race, but to remind everyone what it felt like to truly innovate. Not with marketing buzzwords or app integrations, but with pure, jaw-dropping engineering. Their creation didn't ask for attention, it demanded it. It wasn't just a car, it was a warning shot, a redefinition of what comes next. And for the first time in a long time, the automotive world didn't know what to expect. The electric revolution was sold as a promise. Clean energy, guilt-free performance, a future unchained from oil. But under all the progress and polish, something never quite added up. At the heart of every electric vehicle lies a contradiction. A massive, heavy battery built from materials that carry a high environmental and human cost. To power one Tesla Model S, you need a cocktail of metals: lithium, cobalt, nickel, manganese, graphite. Each pulled from the earth through mining operations that too often resemble something out of a dystopian novel. In the Congo, children dig for cobalt. In South America, lithium extraction drains water from land that barely has any to give. And for all that sacrifice, what do we get? Batteries that weigh hundreds of kilos, burdening the very vehicles they're supposed to elevate. That weight doesn't just sit silently beneath the floorboards, it reshapes the driving experience. Tires wear faster, brakes strain harder, roads take more punishment. Even at the end of a battery's life, we're still not sure what to do with it. Recycling remains limited, and disposal carries its own risks. So while the world praises the silence of EVs, few are talking about the noise left behind in the places we never see. But maybe the most profound thing we lost in the shift to electric wasn't physical. It was emotional, the soul of the machine. EVs are fast, freakishly so. They're smooth, precise, eerily quiet. But with that silence comes sameness. No roar, no rumble, no drama, just a sterile push of torque and an app-controlled experience. For many, driving an EV feels less like piloting a machine and more like swiping through a touchscreen. It's convenient, it's efficient, but it's missing a heartbeat. Even Tesla's fiercest competitors fell into the same trap. Rimac built hypercars that broke speed records but felt more like computers with wheels. Lucid promised luxury but got lost in delays and software bugs. Porsche's Taycan had engineering finesse but couldn't escape the gravitational pull of its battery weight. Everyone was chasing range, battery size, and sleek interfaces, tweaking the formula but never questioning it. And then, without warning, Koenigsegg tore up the rulebook. They didn't hold a massive keynote. There were no countdown clocks or viral leaks, just an unexpected reveal from a small Swedish lab known more for breaking records than making headlines. In 2025, Koenigsegg didn't just introduce new cars, they introduced a new idea. Two machines that looked like they were sculpted from science fiction, one powered by a synthetic fuel engine delivering over 1,500 horsepower with almost no emissions. The other, an electric motor so compact you could carry it in a backpack, yet powerful enough to humiliate the industry's biggest players. It wasn't evolution, it was rebellion. While the rest of the world focused on battery size and screen resolution, Koenigsegg focused on physics. While others scaled up, they scaled smart. They didn't just challenge the status quo, they made it look lazy. And in the aftermath, something remarkable happened. For the first time in over a decade, Elon Musk didn't look like the man steering the future. He looked stunned, speechless, dwarfed by a vision bolder than his own. Because the future doesn't always arrive with a whisper. Sometimes it shows up with a roar, and a reminder that true innovation doesn't follow trends, it destroys them. When Koenigsegg pulled the curtain back on its next big leap, no one was prepared for what came first, a motor named dark matter. It sounded like something from science fiction, and in many ways it was. Compact, unassuming, almost too small to be real. Yet in that tight shell was a force of nature. 800 horsepower and enough torque to make full-size SUVs feel like go-karts. Christian von Koenigsegg cradled the motor in his arms during the reveal like he was holding a secret from the future. It was barely bigger than a backpack, but it made entire drivetrains from other manufacturers look primitive. This wasn't just an engineering flex, it was a declaration. While other companies were busy stacking motors, cramming in heavier batteries, and layering software to manage their complexity, Koenigsegg did the opposite. They stripped it all down and rewrote the rules. Dark matter wasn't built from off-the-shelf ideas. Its power came from a radical fusion of two rival motor technologies: radial flux, the reliable workhorse of today's EVs, and axial flux, the compact but temperamental prodigy of motor design. Koenigsegg took the best of both worlds and merged them into a new form, something they called a raxial design. It didn't just work. It performed under stress, stayed cool when pushed, and delivered power with supernatural smoothness. And that simplicity? It wasn't just elegant, it was strategic. Unlike the multi-motor EVs that need endless code to keep them balanced, the dark matter motor connects directly to Koenigsegg's own torque converter and inverter. No complicated dance between systems, no clutter, just instant power, from zero to mind-blowing with nothing in the way. But Koenigsegg didn't stop there. While the industry marched in lockstep toward bigger batteries and longer charge times, they turned in a completely different direction, back to combustion, but reimagined for a new world. Alongside the dark matter motor, they unveiled a brand new quad-turbocharged engine. Not a relic reborn, but a masterpiece forged from scratch, designed to run on synthetic e-fuel and built to cleanly tear the air apart. Over 1,500 horsepower, near zero emissions, no compromises. This wasn't nostalgia. This was resurrection. While everyone else was chasing efficiency charts and battery range, Koenigsegg chased purity, raw, clean, unfiltered performance that didn't ask for permission. They didn't follow trends. They didn't build for headlines. They built what others thought impossible. And when they showed the world what they had made, the silence was deafening. This engine wasn't retrofitted for the future. It was engineered from scratch for it. It runs clean, revs high, and connects effortlessly with Koenigsegg's cutting-edge hybrid electric system. Together, the internal combustion engine and the compact dark matter motor form a completely unique powertrain, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about EVs and combustion tech. It doesn't follow the rules, it rewrites them. At the heart of it is synthetic e-fuel, a next-gen liquid fuel made by combining captured CO2 with hydrogen. When it burns, it only releases the carbon that was taken from the air to make it. The result? Practically zero net emissions. While other automakers like Porsche are still experimenting with e-fuels, Koenigsegg has already built an engine specifically for it. No conversions, no compromises. It's built to run clean from the ground up. And when this engine teams up with Koenigsegg's electric motor, the numbers are mind-blowing. Together, they generate a combined 2,300 horsepower and 2,750 newton-meters of torque. Real, tested output, not theoretical estimates. It's all packed into the new production-ready Gamera, a car with 4 seats, actual trunk space, and cup holders that just so happens to leave a Bugatti Chiron in its dust. But it's not just about the speed. What makes this setup so revolutionary is what it doesn't need. No oversized battery packs weighing down the chassis, no range anxiety, no dependency on 30-minute fast charging or rare earth materials. It sidesteps the biggest issues facing mainstream EVs and offers a cleaner, more elegant solution. And here's the twist. Koenigsegg didn't unveil this with a grand spectacle. No press blitz, no countdown, no flashy campaign. They quietly updated the Gamera's specifications, dropped a few subtle hints, and let the numbers speak for themselves. It didn't take long for engineers, journalists, and industry insiders to catch on, and when they did, the buzz was immediate and unstoppable. This breakthrough doesn't just raise performance, it opens up whole new possibilities for car design. A smaller, lighter motor means less weight on the chassis. Less weight means better handling, sharper response, lower tire wear, and increased overall efficiency. It's a cascade of improvements you just can't get with traditional EV architecture. And the engine? It's not some leftover tech from an aging platform. It's a brand-new quad-turbo V8, built entirely in-house and designed specifically for clean synthetic fuels. It's not just powerful, it's responsible. With green hydrogen and captured carbon as its base, this power plant delivers astonishing performance with near zero net emissions. That matters, because it changes the narrative. For years, we've been told that battery EVs are the only answer. But Koenigsegg is proving there's another path, one that's lighter, cleaner, more versatile, and engineered with the future in mind. What Koenigsegg just achieved isn't something most automakers could have even attempted, let alone pulled off. They're not part of some sprawling automotive conglomerate. They don't answer to layers of shareholders or boardroom committees. Every major component, from hand-laid carbon fiber to 3D-printed titanium exhausts, is conceived, engineered, and built in-house. That's not just about craftsmanship. It's about control. Koenigsegg has full command over every stage of production, meaning they can experiment faster, pivot quicker, and implement radical ideas without asking for permission. This isn't just a new drivetrain, it's a whole new mindset. And the ripple effects? Instant and undeniable. Engineering forums lit up. Performance circles started asking questions no one dared to before. Why are we still tied to dual or tri-motor systems with marginal returns? Why are we carrying battery packs that weigh as much as an entire engine block? Why hasn't anyone else built a scalable hybrid platform using synthetic fuels? Even publications known for championing EV purity had to admit this was something radically different. Koenigsegg didn't just release a better powertrain, they exposed a crack in the EV narrative. For all the billions poured into battery tech, range, and mass production, most automakers had stopped imagining alternatives. Koenigsegg dared to break the pattern, and in doing so, built a 4-seat Grand Tourer that leaves hypercars behind, a motor that fits in a backpack, and an engine that revs to the heavens while running nearly carbon neutral. And they did it all from a workshop smaller than the marketing department of most major brands. At Koenigsegg, They don't just build cars. They craft revolutions on wheels. Every bolt, every circuit, every whisper of carbon fiber speaks of a philosophy that most automakers wouldn't dare to follow. Complete, relentless independence. While the rest of the industry is tangled in boardroom politics and legacy blueprints, Koenigsegg answers to no one but their own ambition. They don't outsource innovation. They design it, test it, break it, and rebuild it better. Under one roof, with a team small enough to know each other by name and bold enough to make history. That rebellious spirit gave birth to something the automotive world still struggles to comprehend, an engine that doesn't breathe through camshafts. With free-valve technology, Koenigsegg threw out a century-old engine rulebook and replaced it with precision so fine it might as well be alive. Each valve in the engine dances independently, adapting in real time to how you drive and where you drive. It can go quiet and efficient in city traffic or roar like a jet engine on command. This isn't evolution. It's the combustion engine reimagined from its core, a masterpiece of engineering that listens, thinks, and reacts. Then there's what they did with the gearbox, or rather, without it. In the Regera, Koenigsegg eliminated traditional transmission entirely. They created a direct drive system so seamless, so clean, that the entire concept of gear shifting became obsolete. There are no pauses, no lurches, no mechanical interference, just a flood of power from engine to wheels, as smooth as the horizon. It's like driving a thunderbolt wrapped in silk, and just when you thought they'd peaked, they unleashed the light-speed tourbillon transmission. It sounds like something from a sci-fi novel, and it performs like one too. It's feather-light, brutally fast and precise enough to make a Swiss watch blush. Where other performance cars are burdened by clunky dual-clutch systems, Koenigsegg's LSTT lets you jump to any gear, any time, without blinking. It doesn't just respond, it anticipates, operating in a dimension of speed few have ever touched. Imagine a transmission so intelligent it doesn't just change gears, it changes the rules. Koenigsegg's latest system doesn't waste time stepping through gears like a staircase. It jumps levels like a lightning strike. From third to sixth in an instant, no hesitation, no lag. It's faster than a dual clutch, lighter than tradition allows, and seamlessly integrated with the rest of the vehicle's brain. The result? A sensation of uninterrupted visceral power that feels more like thought than mechanics. But that's only a fragment of Koenigsegg's story. What sets them apart isn't just a single innovation, it's their refusal to let anyone else define their limits. While most automakers rely on external suppliers and decades-old methods, Koenigsegg builds everything themselves. They don't just buy carbon fiber, they weave it, shape it, perfect it. They don't order titanium exhausts. They invent 3D printers to craft them from raw metal. Every detail is obsessively optimized, not for style or spectacle, but because microscopic changes cascade into massive gains at 300 kilometers per h. This level of control is something mass manufacturers simply can't afford. Tesla, for instance, is a powerhouse of efficiency and scalability. But scale is its goal, not perfection. Koenigsegg plays a different game. They aren't chasing market share. They're chasing what's possible when engineers are unchained from compromise. And nowhere is that philosophy more evident than in the astonishing dark matter motor. While others stack multiple electric motors to chase big numbers, Koenigsegg asked a radical question. What if one motor could do the job of three, only better, smaller, and smarter? The answer is a six-phase marvel that blends radial and axial flux technologies, two approaches previously seen as incompatible, into a single, compact force of nature. It weighs less than a suitcase, but delivers earth-bending torque with surgical precision. The beauty of it isn't just its power, it's what that power makes possible. A motor this small changes everything, from weight distribution to chassis design to thermal dynamics. It opens the door to a different kind of car, lighter, sharper, cleaner, freer. Not just an evolution of the electric vehicle, but a redefinition of it. Koenigsegg isn't here to follow the industry's direction. They're here to remind us why innovation matters, why radical ideas deserve a place on real roads, and why sometimes the best way forward isn't to scale up but to dig deeper. There's something undeniably thrilling when power doesn't just arrive, it awakens. The moment Koenigsegg's dark matter motor spins to life, it doesn't feel like you're piloting a car. It feels like you've strapped yourself to a pulse. It's leaner than logic says it should be, smaller than its horsepower would suggest, and yet it delivers performance with the clarity of a lightning strike. Silent, instant, absolute. It doesn't shout. It doesn't wait. It simply responds, as if the motor knows your next move before you do. But this motor is more than fast. It's deeply intelligent. It doesn't need layers of redundant motors and tangled vectoring systems. One is enough, because Koenigsegg engineered it not just to deliver torque, but to think in torque. Every watt is delivered precisely where it's needed, not through brute force, but elegant design. And when paired with Koenigsegg's custom-built converter and inverter, energy doesn't leak, it flows, like water in a sculpted channel, controlled, clean, composed. Then the engine comes alive, not an afterthought, not a compromise, but a mechanical symphony designed for a new era. It doesn't burn gasoline. It sings through synthetic fuel, crafted from carbon pulled from the air and hydrogen split from water. This is combustion with a conscience. There are no compromises, no trade-offs, no guilt. Just the growl, the vibration, the visceral thrill that electric silence can never quite replicate. This is what evolution sounds like when it chooses to keep its voice. Together, these machines don't just coexist, they complete each other. Electric precision meets mechanical soul. Clean energy meets raw emotion. The result isn't just a car, it's an answer to a question the industry had stopped asking. Can we build something better without building something heavier? While others are racing to cram more lithium into bigger batteries, Koenigsegg dared to pause and imagine something more elegant. No need for a 1,000-pound pack, no dependence on rare earths mined oceans away, no waiting around for charge cycles and compromised joy. Instead, they offer a new philosophy, one that's lighter, smarter, and far more exhilarating. And now, the silence from the rest of the automotive world says more than any press release ever could. Because in a factory small enough to be mistaken for a startup, a handful of minds just shattered the notion that bigger is better. They didn't just rewrite the rules, they made a case for why the old game no longer matters. This is what happens when innovation isn't driven by market share, but by sheer obsession. When engineers build for thrill, not trend. When a car doesn't just move you, it moves the entire industry. There's a growing truth the electric vehicle industry would rather keep quiet. EVs, for all their clean image, carry a hidden cost. They may glide silently through the streets without a puff of tailpipe smoke, but the road to creating them is far messier. The metals they rely on, lithium, cobalt, nickel, aren't conjured from thin air. They're carved from the earth in ways that scar landscapes, consume enormous energy, and in some regions exploit human labor. Behind the sleek battery pack is a chain of extraction and processing that's often anything but green. And recycling? It's still years away from being a reliable solution. Enter synthetic fuels, not as a fantasy, but as a practical alternative with real potential. Created by combining captured atmospheric carbon with green hydrogen, they can theoretically run with net zero emissions. Porsche is investing. Saudi Arabia is building facilities. The EU is keeping the door open. But while most are still experimenting or debating, Koenigsegg has already delivered. They didn't just adapt to synthetic fuels, they engineered an entire powertrain to unlock its full potential. This wasn't a case of tweaking an old engine. Koenigsegg built their quad-turbo V8 from the ground up, using exotic materials and precise combustion tuning to make it cleaner, sharper, and more powerful than anything that came before. It wasn't a retrofit, it was a reinvention, and when they paired it with the in-house developed dark matter electric motor, a compact, brutally efficient unit, they created a hybrid system that feels cohesive and deliberate, not cobbled together. The result? A 4-seat Grand Tourer with 2,300 horsepower that isn't just sustainable, it's wildly, unapologetically thrilling. Now the industry is catching its breath. Because while everyone else was racing to scale battery production and optimize supply chains, Koenigsegg went quiet and rethought everything. Their carbon fiber, woven in their own facilities, titanium parts, 3D printed on site, the code running the entire system, written by their engineers, not outsourced or licensed. This isn't a car that could be built by just any automaker. It's the product of total control, obsessive attention to detail, and a refusal to follow conventional paths. And here lies the challenge for legacy giants. Koenigsegg didn't just make a car, they made a statement. One that exposes the limits of mass production and highlights the power of focused, intentional design. Companies like Tesla and GM are optimized for scale, not reinvention. They've spent billions building one path forward. Koenigsegg quietly built an entirely different road, and now they're miles ahead, not just in performance or technology, but in vision. What's more surprising is how deeply this car resonates with people. Because drivers today aren't just chasing silence and software, they want emotion. They want to feel the road, to hear the engine, to experience a car that talks back. And that's what Koenigsegg delivered, a machine that's faster than a Bugatti Chiron, yet comfortable enough for a weekend getaway with the family. Not a science project, not a marketing stunt, just brilliant engineering, fused with a belief that performance and responsibility don't have to be at odds. This isn't just a new chapter in automotive history, it's a reminder that true innovation doesn't come from playing the same game better. It comes from daring to play a different game altogether. Tesla once felt like the final word. A revolution wrapped in brushed aluminum, powered by silence and software, unchallenged in its vision of an all-electric tomorrow. The industry raced to catch up, governments rewrote policies in its shadow, and the world accepted that batteries were the future. But out of the stillness came a roar from a quiet corner of Sweden, where Koenigsegg reimagined what progress could look like. Not bigger batteries, not more screens, but something more visceral, more connected, more human. While others doubled down on range anxiety and gigafactories, Koenigsegg asked a different question. What if the pursuit of purity didn't mean sacrificing soul? What if performance and sustainability weren't opposite ends of a spectrum, but could live together, electrified and explosive, under the same hood? Their answer is a hybrid masterpiece that doesn't tiptoe around convention. It bulldozes it. A four-seater grand tourer that outpaces the most exotic hypercars, yet runs on carbon-neutral fuel and carries a motor small enough to fit in a backpack. This isn't just engineering. It's philosophy turned mechanical. Elon Musk, ever the provocateur, responded to Koenigsegg's disruption with a single sentence. Physics is the ultimate arbiter. Fans celebrated the cryptic tweet. Critics smirked. But in boardrooms and labs across the world, a more serious question echoed. How did a small independent company, without Tesla's army of engineers or billion-dollar budget, manage to outthink the leaders in thermal control, packaging, and drivetrain integration? The answer wasn't scale, it was vision. Koenigsegg didn't start with a spreadsheet. They started with a blank slate. They built their own electric motor, their own torque converter, their own inverter. Their carbon fiber isn't outsourced, it's woven in-house. Their exhaust tips aren't bought. They're 3D printed from titanium. Every decision, every detail, every bolt serves a singular mission. Create a machine that doesn't just move people, but moves them. And in that pursuit, they've created something rare, a car that doesn't just perform, it provokes. It whispers rebellion in every gear shift. It dares the industry to feel again. Koenigsegg's latest creation doesn't ask for comparison. It makes everything else feel outdated. In a world of quiet, sanitized electric acceleration, it reminds us what it means to be alive behind the wheel. The real threat to Tesla isn't just technological, it's emotional, it's philosophical. Because while Musk plays chess with battery supply chains and autonomous algorithms, Koenigsegg is playing jazz, with machinery, with passion, with possibilities that don't fit into spreadsheets. They're not chasing market share, they're chasing magic. And that's the uncomfortable question now facing the automotive titans. If Koenigsegg can build this, why didn't you? In 2025, the narrative is shifting. The road no longer forks only toward bigger batteries and more software. There's another path, narrower, more thrilling, carved by craftsmen rather than corporations. A road where power doesn't come with penalty, where sustainability doesn't mean sterility, and where performance isn't measured only in kilowatts but in goosebumps. Koenigsegg didn't just build a car. They built a counter-argument to the future we were promised, and suddenly that future looks less like destiny and more like a choice.